I became an entrepreneur in the 6th grade. Now you may ask me, Bobby, how could you do that? You were 12 years old. That's too early to work, and you're right. But let's just say I became a part of what we'll call the informal economy. It was a cash-based business, if you will. The kind that the administration probably would not want me to do. Sir, do you know what I'm talking about? Comic books. I know, exactly. I started selling comic books because this may come as a surprise to you, fellow storytellers, fellow glasses wearers. I was a bit of a nerd back in middle school. This look isn't new. I've carried it on since my early days. And when you're a nerd, it's not like it is today, where everyone's like, bro, I'm a nerd, high five, bench press. This was the kind of nerds where you say you huddled in the corner and you found the thing that you loved, that you cherished, and you held it close to you because it was the only thing that mattered to you at that time. And when you found any information about this thing, you threw yourself into it wholeheartedly because you needed to know it inside and out. You wanted to find the fine intricacies that had been forgotten by history and that none of your peers knew. It was the kind of nerd that would get the shit beaten out of you. That was my nerd in 6th grade. And when you're a nerd, and keep in mind, I grew up in a pre-internet age where you had to find it yourself. And so the most important things to a young nerd were either the public library or the used bookstore. And my friends, I had a wonderful used bookstore. Oh, McKay's Used Books and CDs. Shout out to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thank you so much for all that you've done to me. Now, if you go to McKay's Used Books and CDs today, you will find a massive warehouse with rows upon rows of handmade wooden bookshelves, cataloged left to right, all over the place. It's amazing the diversity you can find there. But when I was there in the early 90s, what you would find is a small hole-in-the-wall place where everything was packed on top of itself. And as I perused the shelves, finding things that I loved, I found a secret little cubbyhole in the very back, behind the restrooms even. It wasn't meant to be found. And it was just stacks and piles of comic books. Now, I had had some introduction to it, but this was a really new thing to me, and I was fascinated by all of it. The X-Men taught me about social justice and treating people fairly and not discriminating based upon how they look or how people act. Spider-Man taught me that with great power comes great responsibility, and also that it's really cool to be a nerd. Also, web slinging. It was really awesome, you guys, and it was a really important time to me. Although, like the Avengers then, guys, I know those are all the movies right now. The Avengers weren't really that great, but like, who really cares about Thor? He's a freaking god. Like, that's not really that interesting to me. But anyway, the X-Men, Spider-Man, there were some really cool comics, indie comics. Occasionally I would find them. And what was cool about these is, again, I'm 12 years old. I don't have a whole lot of money because I can't work. But occasionally I get $5, $10, whatever you got. And I'd go to McKay's, and these used comics, they'd be a year, 2 years, 20 years old. I could get them a newish one, newish, for $1. I could get older ones for even less. These people didn't know what they were doing. I could get the entire catalogs. It was mix and match, but you could find anything there. So I started picking them up wherever I could. And I was pouring through these things. And occasionally, despite my better judgment, I would bring them to school where everyone else would see it and be like, what's wrong with you, nerd? And I'd be like, you don't understand how awesome Wolverine is. And I would continue to go about it while everyone didn't care about the tiny, scrawny kid in the corner who read comics between his time going to school and band practice. So anyway, there was a point in time in my 6th grade English class that my friend Ben came to me and said, Bobby, that looks awesome. I want to read it. Like, let me have it. And I said, no, Ben, I've only read this 6 times. I'm not done with it yet. And Ben said, come on, man, give it to me. I really want it. And I said, no, man, I need it. He's like, I'll pay for it. I'll give you $1. I'm like, no, man. He's like, I'll give you $2. And in 6th grade, $2 was, it was 2 of them. I needed those dollars. So I was like, all right, man, I'll do it. And so he handed me $2, and I handed him a 5-year-old copy of the X-Men. And I opened up my Velcro Atlanta Braves wallet, and I stick those $2 in there. And now I've learned something. I've learned that I'm in business. So I go back to McKay's Used Books and CDs, and I go to that back room, and now I see opportunity everywhere. Now I see every person that walks by is someone trying to get in on my angle that no one else has exploited clearly. So I'm in the back room here, and I'm flipping through. And because my nerd brain has forced me to dig through every comic book I can read, every magazine about comic books that I can find, I know not only the history of these things, but I know their value. And I can see that, yeah, that $1 X-Men comic that's a couple years old, yeah, but its face value is $3. It's worth $3 right now. It's not going to do me any good. But a 1978 copy of the Avengers, that's going to be worth something. Whether you think it is or not, it may be only worth $5, but nobody at my school knows this. I'm exploiting some basic reasoning of this middle school economy here. So now I start picking up things that look cool, have cool covers, have interesting first appearances or second appearances or neat battles. It doesn't matter. I'm picking up all kinds of stuff because I see the inherent value in all of them. And I go to school and I get to work. I'm coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff, you guys. Again, first appearance, this, that, awesome battles. Look at this artwork. You know you want it. You know you need it. And I start making comic books cool. Because I've created a supply and demand, everyone starts buying it, and everyone's like, where are these coming from? So now I want them. These are old things. Where do we get them? Where does Bobby find these things? We have no idea, but we want some, and we're going to get some right now. I even came up with some really cockamamie stuff. I found a special edition of a Ghost Rider comic. Ghost Rider was cool, a little underappreciated, but whatever. I found it, and it was pre-sealed in a bag from Marvel Comics. And I was like, this is awesome. I know I can sell this thing. So I came, and I said the following, and this may be the most ridiculous thing I've ever said to a person in my life. I said, guys, I've got something for you. Limited edition, still sealed in the bag, never touched by human hands. Now that's ridiculous, but it worked. I can't tell you how much money I made off that thing, and it only made my business grow. It actually, my inspiration of this caused other people to go out and try their own things. There were some knockoffs. They were bringing in their own comics. Yeah, they were bringing in some DC garbage. Nobody cares about Superman. Nobody cares about Batman. Superman, is the most boring thing. I'm sorry, Jerry Seinfeld. It's the worst. And Batman is just a brooding version of Iron Man. And let's face it, without Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man would just be a drunk rich guy. So come on, let's let that go. Thank you, one person. Yeah. But so I started, there was all these support economies, people trying to do their own thing, but I was making some serious cash. And by the end of the year, but actually it was just second semester, by the end, school's out for summer, I opened up my Atlanta Braves wallet, and I have made $2 million. Okay, it was $200, but when you're 12, $200 is all the money in America. I was wealthy. And so I go home, school's out, bell rings, see you later, suckers, thanks for the change. I head on off to my summer break. And all the time, I've told my friends in the neighborhood, things are going well, this is awesome, I got some of them into it too, although to a lesser extent. And across the street from my house, there was a small pond. Beautiful hills, North Georgia hills, and a beautiful little pond. And at least once a week, if not more, I would run across the pond after school with a fishing pole and tackle box, and I would meet my friends from the neighborhood, my friend Jason and his brother John, up the road, the older guy Steve, but he was a really nice kid too, and we'd all fish and we'd just tell stories. But that last day of school when I went home, I had told everybody about how good it was going, but I was, when you're a child, and it's summertime. You can't wait for summertime. You just want to go and run in the sun, play, or in my case, probably just read comic books some more. But I would still go across, and my friend Jason had called me the night before, and he'd said, Bobby, school's out for us both tomorrow. As soon as you get home, meet you at the pond. I'm like, absolutely, man, I'm there. Come home, empty book bag on the ground, fishing pole, tackle box, run. Don't even change clothes. Don't need to worry about it. So we fished. You take off your shirt as a kid, you're all skinny and pale, you throw everything on there, shoes off, everything off, because we might jump in, you never know, and we're just fishing there for hours until dusk comes and it's time to go eat. And I'm summer break, so I'm excited. So I just grab all my stuff and I run on home and don't even think about it. And the next morning, I'm excited because now it's time to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And so I look through my shorts and I'm digging, and there's nothing there. And I was like, okay. So I run, look to the book bag, okay, it's probably in there. No wallet. Where's that Atlanta Braves wallet? And I remember, oh yeah, I took it out across the street because I didn't want it to get wet, obviously. It's sitting at the riverbank. There's the same spot we fish every single time. I'll just go get it. It was gone. Now, I didn't take this well. And I wasn't angry. I don't have that in me. But I was just terribly saddened and concerned. I looked everywhere, again and again, and I paced around that pond. It's a small one. It didn't take long. And eventually, I was like, well, maybe Jason knows. And Jason was an okay kid. I mean, he got into some trouble, but I knew he meant well. I mean, I knew he would sometimes start some fights at school, or he had a little bit of an attitude problem. But I knew, like, we've been friends since I moved to this city, so I know that you would tell me if you knew where my wallet was. And I called him and I was like, hey man, have you seen it? He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Talk to you later. Click. Next time I see him, I ask him. The whole summer, I kind of just edging, Jason, do you know where this wallet is, man? You and I were the only ones there by the end of the night. Like, that was it. It was just us. You had to see it. We had our stuff there. Where's my wallet? He's like, I don't know. And eventually, like, I just had to let it go. But once a month, every year, it would stick in my head, where did this money go? And I'd have to go back to the pond even years later and think, maybe it'll kick up, and maybe I'll find that money. But I never did. And that taught me that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, sometimes there's great gains, and sometimes it's either the weather or somebody else will intervene. And sometimes you get stolen from, or sometimes bad things happen to you, and you just have to rebuild. So I finally moved from North Georgia. I went off to college, and Jason went his separate ways. And I came back a couple years later, and I ran into Steve. I had just come home, and he was pulling down, and he drove in, and he just came up, Bob, man, I just want to talk to you. So we sat out, and Steve was a couple years older. He was always the all-time quarterback in our outdoor games, and because he was just bigger than us, we couldn't compete. And Steve said, hey, man, I just want to talk to you about it. I mean, got some bad news. It was about 6 months or a year ago. I don't know if you heard, but Jason got in a car accident, and he died. And it was hard because he was a very good friend of mine, and he meant a lot to me. And so Steve and I just spent the next 20 minutes or so, just two young kids, really, 20 years old, talking about how we'd play baseball in the yard, and how we'd go swimming, and how we'd just run around and just do the things that kids do. And it was really great to reminisce and to remember. And then I turned to him and I said, did you ever see him with an Atlanta Braves wallet? Thank you, guys.